What is the most important piece of footwork that you should be emphasizing in your training that is going to help you most in your sparring rounds? Today we're going to touch on exactly that. Before we focus in on this piece of footwork, which you should absolutely be training every session, I want to take a moment and let you guys know that the waitlist for my offense course is now available. You can click on that link down below or the one right there and sign up so that when this course gets launched and we do our early bird pricing, you're going to be one of the first to know. We're going to have 20 plus videos and we're going to be going through so many elements of offense, including what makes my style unique and how you can train elements of my style and bring it into your own game. Be sure to head over to Varga Combat to join the waitlist. So we are discussing today footwork. We're not going to be worrying about offense or worrying about defense. We're going to put the emphasis on some footwork. And I know this is an area that many of you have expressed interest in and asked me to make more videos on. That's why I'm doing it today. Now, one of the first things that I feel we need to address when we're looking at footwork is what way do humans most naturally move? We move forward. We run forward very fast. We walk forward very easy. Then we start moving into the alternatives. We have our side step and we have our backwards movement. Those are slower and for most people much more sluggish than that forward movement. Now you might think because I'm on offense, so often when I fight, I should really be focusing on my forward motion. But no, like I said, that will be more natural for you. Of course, you don't want to run forward on your offense, but moving forward and just throwing shots and being dynamic on your feet in that direction, I think most people are going to get that fairly simple. It's the alternative where it's really going to throw people off, and that is the backwards movement. But backwards movement is not enough, and we have an exact pattern that I want you to learn. And then I'm going to explain why this is so important. We are talking about going backwards and then cutting off on the angle. And this is so important because when somebody goes on offense, especially if they decide to try and run you down, and this might happen in your sparring sessions because you end up against bigger guys. If the person's the same size as you and they decide to run forward, it doesn't always work in their favor. But when somebody's bigger, charging through you definitely does work. So they move faster forwards than you can backwards. So if you're just standing here and you're like, oh, the guy's gonna attack, and you try and create space, and they're ultra aggressive, they're gonna run you down. But if you can go backwards and then cut your angle to the side, all of a sudden they're gonna have this momentum going forward and they have to shift. It's very hard to go forward and shift directions and keep a good offense happening. And that is why I believe that the most important piece of footwork, which you can train, which is gonna be the most advantageous for you in your sparring sessions or in your fight, is a simple backwards movement and then cutting off to the side. Now let's get into some details about how we actually break down the specifics of this. I'm not a fan of taking full steps back. I think there's a faster, more efficient, safer way, and that is moving backwards like so. Maintaining that longer stance where you keep one foot in front, not switching so you have to go, okay, now I'm defending in southpaw. Now I'm defending in orthodox. I think those transitions are very difficult for most people. Some people can definitely do it, but most people are going to leave themselves extra exposed during those moments. So backing up like so, back foot, front foot, back foot, front foot, back foot, front foot is a great start. But like I said, you can only go so fast backwards like that. Somebody rushes at you and you're doing that, that's great. But if they run you down, that's a problem. Alternatively, if there's the edge of the cage or the ring right there, you can't necessarily go straight backwards. But if you have your peripherals open, you know, okay, I'm about to hit the ring ropes, cut off before I touch them, then you don't get pinned. Now this is where it gets a little trickier for most people. Once we back up, we don't want to cross step. We don't want to maintain this stance where one foot is in the lead because then we're going to be going really off balance. We want to transition from backwards and then get our feet to parallel and then push off to the side. So the motion that I would recommend you train is very simply start way up here, cut backwards, cut sideways, and then go forwards nice and light. And then backwards, sideways, forward, light. backwards, sideways, forward, light. And that simple motion, just kind of making a U, but going slow on the forwards motions, taking a pause, bouncing around, and then backwards, sideways, that's gonna be great. It's gonna be so important for you to train, and it's gonna make it so hard for people to offensively catch you. And I will be the first to say that this is not a forte of mine, very simply because I spent my whole, I don't even know, like all my teens, early 20s, watching K1, watching Masato, watching Buakaw, Andy Sauer, and these guys would stand square in front of each other, like right within kick range, and they'd basically just bomb punches. And they would block punches with a tight Dutch guard or a long guard, but you would very rarely see them give a backward step. Definitely not like UFC fighters where they back up, they cut angles, they're all over the place. These guys stood their ground. And I spent so long believing that if I want to be a world champion, I have to stand my ground. So this motion, which I'm recommending to you guys, was not trained as much as it should have been in my younger years, and it's always harder to add stuff and evolve as a fighter as you get older. I still try to add it, but it's difficult. But anybody out there who's looking to up their game, backwards, sideways. Backwards, keeping one foot in front, sideways with the parallel feet. You add that in, it's gonna be a game changer for you. That's it. Footwork, one piece, super important. Add it and improve your skill level dramatically. Thanks for joining, guys. As always, train hard. I will see you back here soon for another video.